Chapter 1. Alan, Sarah said sternly as her friends that had just came and looked at the one boy in the room with an uncomfortable frown on their face. You need to leave. He frowned, fighting back tears. Your friends never had a problem with me here before, he protested fiercely. Why can't I be with you and your friends anymore? You're a boy, Peggy said as she glared at him. We want to have a girls-only night and you're not a girl, Alan. You never had a problem with me playing with you girls before and I was a boy, he almost yelled at Sarah. I enjoy playing with you all. I know, Sarah replied to her brother. Peggy is getting very uncomfortable and it's awkward for her. The way you look at her. We aren't children anymore. You are making us uncomfortable. We don't want to play little kids' games with each other anymore. We want to do girl stuff together and you wouldn't understand. You are a boy and you must leave. Alan rubbed his eyes and started whimpering. His sister and her friends were making him leave and it seemed cruel to him. Peggy felt his pain and rushed up to hold him. Alan, she said softly. Please don't feel hurt by this. We want to do girls' stuff together with your sister. You wouldn't understand. This is what girls do with each other and you can't play with us anymore. You need to find a group of guy friends and hang out with them, doing guy things. It's called growing up. Alan walked out of his sister's bedroom in tears. Peggy felt terrible. He went to his bedroom and kept sobbing. Alan was 13 years old and his sister and her friends were around 14 to 15. Peggy was a little older and he felt different around her. He thought it was a crush. Alan heard his sister and her friends giggling and playing all night. He wanted in on the fun, he felt so lonely and it was a crushing blow. Alan was devastated. He feels so lonely being in his room listening to the girls giggle and play all night. He wished he could be with him. He especially has feelings for his sister's friend Peggy. She was beautiful and very kind to him. He curled up in bed and slowly drifted to sleep. He wondered how he could make things the way they used to be. He had no male friends, he just didn't get along with other boys. Alan didn't like the way they played. He got along much better with girls. He didn't want to be a girl, he simply liked them more. Alan began to think of a solution to this problem. Alan endured the next night alone in his bedroom. He did his best to ignore their constant giggle fits and games they played together. He took out one of his sister's old Vogue magazines she gave him and he started reading it. Then he took out a 17 magazine. He tried to figure out how to solve this. He got an idea but actually doing it seemed more difficult. He didn't want to look stupid trying it. He wanted to look more natural so his sister and her friends could accept him. He was afraid he would just look stupid and they would laugh. He thought about what to do. Then a solution came to mind and Alan fell asleep. He would try to do it next week. It was Wednesday and he was hoping Peggy had got his message from this morning. He could only hope she did as he headed down the hallway. It was nearly lunch hour and he was headed toward the gymnasium. He was suddenly struck on the side of his head and he stumbled back from the force of the blow. He turned and it was as he expected. The larger boy and his friends towered a foot above him. They were much stronger. Steve was a linebacker on the football team. The boys beside him were on the team too. Steve had shoved him against the wall and had his hands tightly gripping Alan's shirt. Steve shoved his face menacingly against Alan's, they were nose to nose. "How was your day, Mary?" he asked mockingly. Alan tried to push Steve away, but he couldn't move the larger muscular boy. "Get off of me, you asshole," he snarled. He wondered why no one was stopping this. The school had policies against bullying, but they never stopped Steve and his friends. "Mary, I thought you liked me," Steve sneered. "Why don't you like this? We all know how you like strong guys like me. Don't fight it, sweetheart." "I am not like that," Alan said. "And I don't like boys, now get off of me." Alan tried to shove Steve again when he held on stronger and it started hurting Alan. He collapsed as pain shot through his body. He cried out. "Mary is crying," Steve said mockingly. Then he held Steve up and said, "You are like a girl, so emotional and weak. How can you think you are a real boy?" The group of boys left laughing when Peggy approached. This was not how he wanted Peggy to see him. She yelled at Steve, "Alan is not a girl." "Please don't make them angrier," Alan pleaded with her, and she accepted. She understood why he was so afraid of making the larger boys angry. She sat down beside him, holding him close to her. "You sent me a message that you wanted to talk." He pulled away. A fearful look crossed his face as he thought about how he could respond to this. "I don't know. I had an idea, but now it seems really stupid." "You wanted to talk to me. Don't waste our time here, Alan. Your message made it look like you were absolutely sure about this. Can you at least tell me what it is about?" "It is about that night you and the other girls told me to go away. You said that I couldn't join you that night because it was only for girls." She looked at him with a frown, trying to figure out where it was all going. "I know you were very upset at it, but it was true." "So is that what you wanted to talk about?" Peggy replied. "Yes. You said I should start hanging out with boys and doing boy stuff." "I can't do boy stuff. I am not interested in doing anything with other boys. The other boys don't even like me. I can't get along with them. You see how they treat me and what they did to me. You and your friends were the only friends I have. I hate losing you." Alan felt tears running down his cheeks when Peggy held him. "I hate not being able to hang out with you too. But that's the way things are and we must get used to it," Peggy said to him. He thought for a few long seconds under her gaze, knowing she was wondering what was on his mind. Then he asked her, "What if I had an idea to solve this where I could hang out with you girls on weekends?" She looked at him, then said, "I just don't think so, Alan. You are not a girl and it just wouldn't be appropriate. I don't see how you could unless you were." Then she became silent. "Alan, don't tell me what I think you are thinking about." He spoke up, knowing she may have figured it all out. "Don't say anything, I just want to know if you would consider changing your mind if there was a way I could." "Alan, I just don't know. The idea is stupid and none of the girls would go for it. Put it out of your mind, it will not work. I think there's a way. I need you girls. Please tell me you will withhold your judgment until I show you my idea. I will meet you again in a few days. Come when I send you another message and we will discuss my idea further. Please tell me you will consider it." She shook her head, thinking this was a very stupid idea. Alan was her friend and she didn't want to lose him. "Okay, I will reserve my judgment until I see you the next time. Just please think about this. I have a feeling what you are planning to do, and if I am right." "Alan, listen, this idea is very stupid and once you do it, you will not be able to erase it. You will be out, me, the other girls, your sister will have seen you. You won't be able to undo it. Please don't make a fool of yourself. I care about you a lot." He hugged her. "Thank you, Peggy. I will put a lot of thought into this. I still think it is something I have to do." Their lunch hour ended and they had to leave. Alan spent the rest of the day thinking about how he could possibly do this. A plan began to form in his mind as the day wore on. He figured out how to proceed with it and where to go. He went home that night and got on his laptop in his bedroom and began to learn more about it all. He researched it all night. He learned everything he could about it. If he wanted to dress and present himself as a convincingly looking girl, he needed as much info as possible about what to wear, how to present himself, what to buy, how to go by doing it. He didn't want to look like a fool pretending to do it badly. He wanted to look like a girl for all of her friends. He needed them to accept him as one of them. It was going to be difficult. That meant he had to do a very good job. He studied a little more on women's fashion. He found some tutorials on doing makeup and found out what he needed to do. He looked at women's fashion and how they dressed for every day. He studied on their speech and how they talked and moved. He made some plans for school the next day. He was going to do more to interact with girls and look at how they dressed, how they talked and moved. Then he went to bed. He curled up and fell asleep. His final thought before he drifted off was that he could pull this off. He had spent a large part of the next day just watching the girls around him. He sat in class watching Jessica. She was stunningly beautiful. He felt extremely attracted to her since the first time he saw her. She was very kind to everyone, but he still liked Peggy more. Jessica sat across from him wearing a pink tight-fitting miniskirt and pretty tennis shoes with glitter on the sides. The miniskirt stood out with the embroidered lace along the trim and seams she put there. Her tight-fitting top was a regular girl's sleeveless t-shirt that plunged down the neckline. Her blonde hair hung down on her shoulders. Jessica always dressed so nice and presented herself. He had watched her part of the morning and noticed a few things about her and the other girls when they moved. They talked to each other and they were much more expressive when they spoke. Boys stood there and talked to each other. But they weren't that expressive, they spoke and answered. Girls, they moved when they spoke. They gesture with their hands and move their bodies to express their words. They move their heads and hands when girls speak. Girls moved more fluidly. Then, he noticed that he did it to a point, and maybe that's why boys found it hard to connect with him. He decided to try it himself. The bell rang and everyone walked out of class. He approached Jessica. He approached her moving as he saw other girls move up when they want to engage in a conversation with another girl. He moved his arms gently and looked at her. Then he tried talking about what girls talked about with each other. "Hi, Jessica, you look very nice today." She backed up a little, looking very uncomfortable with this boy who just complimented her appearance. Thanks, Alan," she said guardedly. "Oh no, don't take it like that," Alan said to her, gesturing for her to lighten up. "It's just a compliment, girl. I love that miniskirt, it looks so great on you. And that soft sleeveless top. I love it, you are so. You have to tell me where you got it." She was now very uncomfortable. It may have been easier to handle if it was flirting, but this boy obviously wasn't flirting. It was just weird. "You know," she said, unsure. "That little store across town." "Laura's, but why do you want to know this? Where did you get your hair done?" He asked her again. "I would love to know." "Rachel's salon. They give the best perms and can give you a great set if you ask for Peg," she said with a giggle. This was uncomfortable enough. It was almost like talking with another girl. He moved like them, but, since he wasn't, it was just weird and made her feel extremely uncomfortable. She needed to get out of there. Bye, Alan. This is too strange." She walked away almost giggling. Alan knew what had happened and it fit. He was doing it, but since his appearance wasn't right, it did nothing but make the girls very insecure and uncomfortable. But he sensed he did pull it off to a point. He went to sit down and consider what he was going to do. He considered when and how he would proceed. He spent the next 15 minutes and it was time to go to his next class. He had figured it all out. He stood up and proceeded to finish his school day. He snuck home when school ended, hoping that Peggy would not find him or insist on following him home. He had a few things to do that evening. He was lucky that day and made it to his home without incident and went to his bedroom and made out a list of things he needed to get, and then he approached his sister. He found her sitting on the sofa watching her favorite show on television. He approached her and asked, "Hey sis. Can you help me this evening?" She looked up, startled and somewhat upset at being interrupted by him during her favorite show. "Sure, if you can wait until this ends." "I will be happy. What do you need?" "I need you to help me get Mother's card and then I need you to drive me to the store." "So you are going shopping," Sarah observed. "Sure. I was going out with Rick this evening. I can drop you off along the way. I hope you can find a way back." "I think I can do that. I will call a taxi if I need to." "Thanks, sis. You are the best." She shook her head. Her brother was very weird sometimes. She watched the rest of her program and then went to have a talk with her mother. She walked out of her mother's bedroom about 10 minutes later and entered her brother's bedroom with her mother's credit card in hand. She handed it to Alan, saying, "Here you go. Are you ready to go?" Her brother nodded. "Sure." He followed her to the car and she drove off. They rode silently for part of the drive. He was trying to decide what to get for himself. He was deep in though when Sarah broke the silence. "You are very quiet all of the sudden after asking me for this favor. I really wonder what you plan to get. You haven't even told me where to let you off." Alan shrugged. "I just want to get some new clothes. Drop me by the mall. These are sort of bland. I want a new fab look. Something that makes me look better. So the girls will go like totes OMG." She started laughing and began to really wonder what her silly brother was up to. She figured it was something totally stupid. "Sometimes, Alan, I just don't know about you. You are funny." She stopped to let him out and he headed directly toward a large girls' clothing store. He walked in and she really began to wonder what was going on with her brother. She pulled out to head to her friend's place. He had roughly worked out his sizes in girls' clothes last night. There were still some things he didn't quite understand. He knew this was going to be a weird and potentially embarrassing experience. Hopefully, he wouldn't run into any girls he knew here. He walked down the aisle looking at a few dresses. He looked at the labels for his size. They were short miniskirts, the type he's seen girls wearing at school. He figured that the first thing he would need is some undergarments, so he headed toward that area of the store. There were panties of all types and sizes there. He saw thongs, boy shorts, bikinis, traditional style and low-rise hipster. There were panties in every material too. He saw satin, really lacy sexy type and cotton. He just wanted to fit in with the other girls so he didn't need to go slutty. He found his size and picked out a few bikini-style panties. He threw in some really sexy lacy type and some satin. He was about to put some others in when he heard a voice behind him. It was almost a mocking type voice. "Well, what do you think you are doing here, young man?" He turned and froze with a deer in the headlights type of terror look on his face. "Are you being some pervert here buying young women's panties?" she asked in scorn. He didn't know what to say. He considered running away. He knew he was caught, holding a pair of pink satin thongs in his hand, closely reading the label. He knew this woman. She was Anne, her daughter was in his class. They spoke with each other. He knew she would know. She looked at him and then the worst possible thing happened. He saw recognition on her face as she smiled. "Oh my God, Alan, I know you. You are in my daughter's class. Kimberly, she likes you and said you were flirting with her. Can you tell me what you were doing here with a cart full of panties?" "I was going to buy them," he said, looking at her. There wasn't much else to say. He had them in his cart, there was no point in trying to say anything else. If she hadn't put it all together yet, she soon would, and he knew it. "Yes, young man," she said with scorn. "That much is obvious." "Why? For your sister." "No, that's silly, girls buy their own, especially at her age." No girl would ask her brother. "Oh my God, you!" she whispered. "Why on earth do you want them?" "Well, don't even, I know, you want to wear them. Just, what prompted you to try this lifestyle? You are only 14, I guess teenage boys often do weird things." "What would my daughter think?" "Please don't tell anyone," he whispered in desperation, but then it came to him. No matter what, if his plan worked, then the other girls would see him and know. He was prepared for face that. He had to be. He just had to be bold about this or give it all up. He needed to be bold. "My daughter keeps saying how you are flirting with her and she is interested. But now? With you doing this. What are you doing?" And asked him. Alan said, "I wanted to change a little, I wanted to see if I could become one of the girls. I was never interested in Kimberly, and I just enjoy talking to other girls. I relate more with other girls than boys. I hope you can understand." "I totally understand, young man. Teenage boys do many weird things, crossdressing is among them. You aren't the first," and laughed. "Do you have any clue what you are doing? Do you know the different styles and what they mean? Do you know the sizes?" "Yes, I have studied and I think these are the right size for me," replied Alan as he put a few more panties in the cart. And followed him to the bras as he looked at the various styles and sizes. She watched him select a few, closely reading the labels. She noticed he was selecting more adult styles, not training bras, and he was getting padded underwires with B-cup. He selected the prettiest styles, one had a large embroidered heart in between the cups with a floral lace pattern along the straps and the cups. Then he selected a more modest style for every day. This boy was serious about it all. "You are serious about being a girl, aren't you, Alan?" and said to him. "Yes, I just want to see if I can pull it off. I am not like that type of boy who wants to really change permanently. So it's more like a female impersonator, for a show or part-time crossdresser." "I can understand," and replied. "It looks like you are getting the proper size for your body, but let's make sure. Have you ever been measured?" "I measured myself last night. I looked at how girls are measured for their bra size and did it myself. I don't have a cup size, so I can choose which would look the best. It's nowhere as beautiful as you, I so wish I could look good with what you have," he said to her as she blushed. She was a 39 triple D. Most of the boys couldn't keep their eyes off her when she brought her daughter to school. Her daughter was already getting her curves. That's what she thought attracted Alan's attention to her. Obviously, that was a mistaken assumption. It was still an inappropriate comment for a boy to make to a girl's mother. She chose to ignore it and move on. "Well, Alan, let's make sure. I will measure you, so follow me." This was getting worse all the time. He didn't know if she was intentionally lashing out at him to demean and humiliate him. A classmate's mother measuring a boy for a bra had to be intentionally humiliating him. However, he had no choice in the matter. He followed her to the corner of the room. "Take your shirt off, Alan," and said as she got a tape measure. He shut his eyes as he pulled his shirt over his head. He stood in front of his classmate's mother shirtless. Then she proceeded to measure him for a bra. HT was about what he expected. She first wrapped the tape around his upper chest just below his arms and got the number. Then she moved the tape under his bust, just on his rib cage. She got that number and almost giggled. Around 55 centimeters, or 22 inches. "Your chest is small for even a boy your age," she said with a smile. Then she wrapped the tape around his nipples. "We need to measure the fullest part of your breasts now to determine your cup size." She giggled. He wondered why she wanted to humiliate him this way. She knew no boy actually had a cup size. There was nothing there, he had a flat chest. She simply wanted to do this to him for some reason. Of course, it was the same size as his rib cage. She eventually determined his cup size was 23AA. She giggled. Most girls your age would be ashamed at having such a small cup size. Typically, they are at least a single A or B. You will have to do what other girls do when they have such a small boyish chest. Stuff the cups with tissue, or get some gel packs or larger foam cups, or buy some inserts. Just like other girls, and said giggling. "Yeah," he said sourly. Utterly humiliated in front of a classmate's mother who was doing her best to humiliate him. She picked up one of the bras he selected and read the label. "It seems you did know what you were doing. You were right all along. How odd for a boy to go through this much effort. You are serious indeed." He looked down, unable to respond. "Just to be sure they are the correct size, you need to go try these on." She handed him a pair of the bright red floral lace push-up bra and a matching thong panties. "Go put those on and come out to let me check and see if they are your size." He frowned, looking at the lingerie she wanted him to put on for her. In the dressing room of a girl's clothing store. Was she kidding? "Are you kidding, Anne? I am a boy, you want me to go into the dressing room of the store and put on the bra and panties? Then come out to see you? Wearing it? I am a boy, I think the store would have a serious problem with this. You must be joking." She grabbed his ear hard. "There will be no problem, you were going to wear the stuff anyway, so I don't see a problem. There are very few people here right now, and if anyone does have a problem, I will take care of it. We need to see if they fit you. You go right in there and put those panties and bra on. I will be waiting for you." He walked into the pink dressing room and peeled off the remaining clothing he had on. The room was brightly lit with a large mirror. It was so feminine, but it was expected. They expected no one but girls to dare go in there and try the stuff on. He stepped into the floral lace panties and slid them up his legs. They fit him snugly and he tucked the appropriate parts so he had a natural feminine-looking crotch area. Then he slid his arms through the bra straps and struggled to hook it behind him as other girls did. That was something he was going to have to practice. He hesitated for several more minutes, not wanting to walk out into the store wearing his lingerie. This was totally humiliating. She shouted from the other side of the door, "I am waiting, young lady. Come on out and let me check you." Alan opened the door and walked out into the store, his body trembling. He was wearing the panties and the bra. She closely examined him and smiled at the more natural-looking flat front of his panties. No boy-like budge was there. He didn't even look the least bit aroused. She frowned at his chest. This doesn't look good. There is nothing to fill those cups. They are laying flat. That doesn't look feminine. And observed. I can't help that, Alan replied. That's okay, she said to him as she took out a few silicone inserts she picked up from another part of the store. These will help you out in that area. She pulled a cup and slid the inserts in. He noticed they were C cup instead of B. They overfilled his bra cups. He even noticed they each had a feminine-looking nipple to protrude out. We will have to get you C cup now, but that's all right. They look nice on you. She helped him make the appropriate corrections, then they proceeded to continue shopping. Now the lingerie is taken care of, let's get you some clothes to wear. She took the time to throw in some nightgowns and a chemise. He was humiliated enough walking to the store wearing only a pair of panties and a bra with C-cup inserts. They went to the store, checking his size. She put in a few pairs of low-rise hip-hugging skinny jeans. They got a few pairs of short skirts and then some blouses. She made him get a few full-length dresses and a pair of heels. She handed him a pair of the jewel skinny jeans with pink lace along the trim and told him to go try those on. He knew she wouldn't take no for an answer, so he did, just happy to get something else on him. He squeezed himself into the ultra-tight low-rise jeans and pulled them up. He struggled to fasten them. They were so much tighter than anything else he had worn. The lace along the waist of his panties peeked out the top. He walked out and she approved. She sent him back in to try on the pink skirt. He peeled the jeans off and slid the skirt up. He zipped the back and walked out. And smiled and praised how pretty the skirt looked on him. He also had on a top with an extremely low neckline. She made him try on a pair of 2-inch pink pumps. They threw in some makeup and she made him check out wearing what he was. He practically looked like a girl now. It didn't look out of place and she helped get him 50% off everything. He paid with his mother's card and as he was walking out, with his new purse and got his cell out to call for a taxi. She stopped him, "Let me drive you home, Alan. I know where you live. I am friends with your mom. By the way, what is your name when you are a girl?" He looked at her and replied, "Alice." They got in the car together. She drove him home and he hoped no one was there to see him going in his house dressed like this. Luckily, there was no one home when he arrived. Sarah was still out with her friends and if he had a guess, he would guess she would come back home early next morning, probably drunk. She would spend the next morning with a hangover. His mother was out with his father. He wasn't sure where they were at the moment. That was all good and he decided to stay in the clothes and try to decide what his next step would be. He has succeeded in buying the clothes he needed. He now had an entire wardrobe of girls' clothes to wear. He had makeup too, so now, he needed to learn how to assimilate as a girl. He needed to learn more about what to wear and how to do it. He needed to know how to present himself as a girl to his sister's friends. He needed to be able to be a girl convincingly enough to be accepted by other girls. He sat on his bed rubbing his temples. This was going to be much more difficult than he originally thought. How could a boy ever pull this off? Now, he wasn't so sure it was even possible. He had to make it possible. He didn't like hanging with other boys and he was sure he could never pull that off. So he had to make sure this would work. Of course, he knew he didn't actually have to learn to become another girl just to be able to hang out with girls as friends. He knew some guys who did it, but they treated that guy differently. He was never really let into the girls' circle. They kept him at arm's length and there were some things he wasn't invited to. He wanted to be let in as a full member and treated as such. As a guy, no girl would ever accept him as that. He had several more hours before he had to go to sleep. He decided to use that time to learn a little more about how to do this. He got on his computer and brought up some websites and YouTube tutorials on applying makeup. What he found was totally bewildering, and he rubbed his temples a little more to stop an oncoming headache. Moisturizers, concealer, foundations, liquid, powder, mascara, eyeshadow, brushes, sponges, it was almost overwhelming to a teenage boy. Do girls really go through this much effort? No wonder they take hours to get ready. And he would have to learn it all too. Since obviously, his mother and sister would never consider it. He would have to do it all alone. He got his concealers and foundations, the applicators and the moisturizers, and went to his sister's bedroom. He sat at her vanity and began practicing it all himself. The first step was a moisturized soft skin for a good surface. He blotted his face with the moisturizer cream and rubbed it all into his face, making sure to have an even surface. He spent several minutes working at it until he was satisfied. His face looked much smoother and softer. Then he read about concealers and foundations. Girls usually use both when needed, he was surprised to learn. Foundation for a good uniform look for the entire face. Then concealer to conceal any creases or blemishes. He selected several different foundations at the store and picked out one that most closely matched his skin tone and applied it to his face. It was a cold liquid foundation and rubbed in rather smoothly, and was surprised. His face started looking better, softer and more feminine already. That was the point of it all. Since he was so young, he didn't need much concealer, but he applied some to his eyes and creases of his mouth. Now he needed to make his eyes beautiful. He got his mascara and dipped the brush in and began brushing his eyelashes. They started getting moist and lengthening. It was wonderful. Well, kind of, they were like clumping together, and he wasn't doing it right. He did his best and then got the eyelash curler. He brought it to his eyelashes and clamped them down, trying to run it along his lashes to curl them. Something was really wrong and it hurt bad. He almost cried out and tried to pull it off. It stuck to his eyelashes and wouldn't release. He ran some water under it and worked it free. This wasn't working at all. He gave up on that and applied the eyeshadow. He used a brilliant lilac shade and then some lip gloss. He stood and looked at his image in a full-length mirror and was disappointed. His makeup looked okay for a first try. No other girl would accept it, it was done very badly, but he could practice. But even if he did it very well, there was still something. First, his hair was not really a girl's. How could he fix that without ruining everything? Then, there was his eyebrows. Most girls by this age started plucking, and they had thinner, more feminine eyebrows. How could he pluck them without ruining everything? If he did his hair in a more feminine way, everyone could see, and it was not undoable. Neither was plucking his eyebrows. Well, maybe there was. He could learn how to do it and use highlights like a pencil, darken the area more so no one could tell at school. By now, it was time to go to sleep, and he removed it all with a coating of cold cream. He applied a little moisturizer to his skin like girls do when they go to sleep. He put on a sexy nightgown and curled up in bed. He rather liked this more, but he couldn't figure out why this felt more natural than what he used to do. That part was frustrating. It was only Tuesday, and Alan spent the next couple of days closely watching the other girls in class. He watched what they did, how they spoke to each other, how they dressed, and how they did their makeup. He was very careful in how he did it and paid careful attention to how they moved and how they looked. He started wearing girls' undergarments to try to get himself into girl mode. He began to understand girls a little more. Kimberly was walking out by herself after class ended. She was going to her friends where they would surely meet and head out. Alan approached her again. He hoped this would go better than the last time he spoke to her. She was totally weirded out the last time. He figured it was going to take some time for her to get used to it. He looked at her and smiled. It was a soft, friendly smile. "I so wish I could do that as good as you do," Alan said to Kimberly. She frowned at him. "What are you talking about?" "I mean your face," Alan replied. "Your eyes. They look so great. I tried to curl my lashes and do mascara and they just look chunky and stuck together. I won't even try to do my eyebrows. Yours look fab." She started to realize that this boy was totally serious. It wasn't a joke he was playing. "Thanks, do you mean you are trying to do makeup?" "Yes, and I am doing it badly." "How do you use the curler for your eyelashes?" Alan inquired. She almost laughed but remembered. "Are you really serious?" she asked. "Yes," Alan replied adamantly. "Why do you want to use makeup for?" Kimberly asked him. "I want to be more like a girl," Alan told her. "I really want to try looking like a girl. Can you explain it to me?" "No," Kimberly said. "It's weird and you are a boy." "Try to pretend I am not a boy," Alan told her with a soft feminine smile. "Imagine I am another girl asking you for help." That wasn't too difficult. Almost all day, she had kept her eye on him and noticed he was watching the other girls. It wasn't creepy, he was doing his best to emulate them and her. His movements were getting more fluid and feminine. It was weird, but not in a bad way. "Sure, tell me what you are doing when you use the curler." "Well, I use the mascara, they lengthen my lashes enough, then I try to curl them." "It never works." Kimberly laughed. "Well, you doofus. Your lashes have to be dry or they will stick to the curler. Make sure they are dry first. Then use it slowly, starting with the outer edge." "Oh," he said. "How do I thin my eyebrows?" "Yours look so pretty that I want mine to look like yours." She laughed at the very weird boy and said, "You are so weird, Alan, but I can tell this is serious. If you are for real, then we better work on this together. Follow me to my place and I will show you." Alan followed her home, wondering what she was going to do to him. Alan was worried that he had gone too far with her. He followed her to her home when he asked her, "Aren't you supposed to meet your friends after school?" "Yes," Kimberly replied. "But we were going to just hang out after school." "I think this is more important. You looked like someone who needed help badly and I am happy to help you." She showed Alan where to sit down. He saw her makeup table and the mirror. This must be where she makes herself up. "So, Alan," she said. "You want me to show you how to use an eyelash curler and make up your eyebrows?" He nodded, not believing he was admitting this in front of one of the most beautiful girls in his school. Any other guy would be dying of embarrassment. Not him. "Good, is there anything else you want me to show you?" Kimberly asked. "Yes, how to shape my eyebrows. Then hide them when I need to. Also, what is the difference between a liquid foundation or powder and some pointers on how to use an eyebrow pencil on my eyebrows?" Kimberly looked at him for a few long seconds. Then she said, "It looks like you really want this, so we will proceed. I will show you how to totally make up your face like a girl's. You look like someone who has really studied it. I mean, what boy even knows about tweezing, liquid or powder foundations, moisturizers, and what an eyelash curler is?" "Thank you," replied Alan. "Sit still, Alan. Let me look at you." She sat on the chair in front of him and took a long, hard look, closely examining the contours and features of his face. She ran her fingers along his cheeks, up to his eye ridges and down to his jaw. She looked at his nose and down to his neck and chest. This went on for several long minutes. "Okay, I think I can help you, Alan. You have soft, beautiful skin that I can easily work with. You have no facial hair growing, so that will make things much easier. I don't know if puberty is avoiding you or what. But be thankful for that, Alan. Let me show you how to start. She took out a tube of moisturizer and blotted it on his face. She rubbed it in on an even layer. It was smooth and felt cool to his skin. This is just to hydrate your face and make it better to apply the makeup. See how it's done? I just rub it in with my fingertips. You try the other cheek. Here, just do it like I did. He followed her instructions, rubbing the moisturizer into the other side of his face the way she did. He made sure to rub in an even soft layer. Very good, Alan. You did very well, Kimberly complimented him. Let's move to the next step. He watched her take out a jar of liquid foundation and explained the difference. You must be careful to choose the one that matches your skin tone the best. This olive color seems to be the best. Its liquid will coat your skin much better. You have naturally soft and moist skin, so this is much better. Alan asked, "Why are you helping me?" I mean, you were first really weirded out and left. I seriously didn't think I would find a girl to help me with this, so why are you being so kind? She flashed him a warm, friendly smile. Because, Alan, you looked like you were kind and very sincere in this. You needed someone to help you, and I could feel your desire. I wanted to help you, and I didn't want to see you get hurt. You know how I help everyone I can. That was true. Kimberly was one of the friends girls in school. The other girls weren't nice at all. There were some nice girls, like Peggy. But none of them cared as much about appearance and fashion like Kimberly did. She was a true perfectionist. Her hair and makeup was almost perfect every day. She dipped her fingers into the jar of liquid foundation and dotted it all over his face. Some on his forehead, the tip of his nose. Many on his cheeks, down to the side of his lips and on his upper lips. Then a few on his nose and neck. See how I did that? Put a few more on this area yourself. Alan got some foundation on his fingers and put some blots on the other side of his face. Then she showed him how to apply it. She took out a thick brush and smeared it into his skin. Alan saw she was taking extra care to apply an even coating all over his forehead. It was somewhat itchy as she went down to his face, around his eyes and down to his cheeks, making an even coating of foundation. She handed the brush to him to do the other side. He matched her precision and smoothed the foundation into an even coating that made his skin look darker and softer. Much more beautiful. He loved it. Then she put some on his eyelids, saying, "We must make sure each eyelid is coated so the eyeshadow sticks and goes on smooth. And now we can work on the eyelash curler like you wanted." She took it out and began showing him. Your eyelashes must be dry when you use this. First, put in the curl and then extend them with the mascara. Have you considered fake lashes? He nodded. Yes, but I've seen them done very badly. They unglue and hang down on your eyes and look very bad. She shrugged. That can happen. So let's begin. She brought the curler to his hair and clamped the edges to his eyelashes and slowly pulled them. She applied it again and again. It was a slow progress until she got them smoothed out and curled upward. He did the other eye and then she looked. They look much prettier now. Now use the mascara. She took the mascara wand and brushed it into his lashes, making them darker, and they slowly extended. He did the other lash and she was impressed with this boy's skill with mascara. Then she started showing him how to use the concealer under his eyes and nose. She applied a thicker coating of concealer under his eyes. She used the same sculpting brush on to smooth in the concealer. He did the other side, matching her motions, and then Kimberly got a smaller precision brush to focus on the areas he needed done with much more precision. It got the areas the larger brush couldn't get to. Then she got out a compact and told him it was a retouch powder, and got out a larger brush, and she showed him how to apply that over the concealer to make it look smoother and more natural. Then, Kimberly got out a darker shade and started applying it to the underside of his eyes. I am doing this to give you a smoky eye look. I am applying this as close to your lash line as possible to give you a smoky look. See, she got out a small brush and applied it to his lash lines to make his eyes stand out. Then she showed him how to use an eyeliner pencil, and she pulled out his bottom eyelid and applied it to the edges of his eyelids. He did the other eye and was surprised that they matched. She showed him about the blush and asked him, so how do you want your cheeks and lips to look? I want them to be bright. I always wanted really beautiful red lips. Good, Kimberly said as she started applying the blush. She made his cheeks really bright and rosy. Then she showed him how to properly apply lipstick. He was finished and he blushed himself with a brilliant smile. He looked like a girl, except for his hair. I love it, thanks Kimberly. I love it. Next time, I will help you pluck your eyebrows. Can we do my nails the next time, too? Alan asked. Sure. Just call me and we will see when I can help you next. I am happy to help you do this, Kimberly said. I think I need to get home, Alan said, turning to walk out when she said stop. Alan, your face. Let's take it off, Kimberly shouted. He looked very upset, almost like he was going to tear up. His lower lip quivered. Please, I love this and my sister won't be home. Kimberly laughed. Well, okay. Let's make sure your body matched your face then. You will be walking outside. Let me help you. She took out some of her younger clothes, and he was soon wearing a pair of pink skinny jeans and a girl's chemise top with 2 large foam breasts near the top. She helped him get the proper feminine shape and finished it with some heels. Now, no one will question your look. Oh, wear this hat so your hairdo won't raise questions. Let's go to your place together. Alan walked home with Kimberly. They held hands and pretty much looked and talked like 2 girlfriends. Kimberly really found it so weird that she wasn't sure what to think. Alan insisted he was a boy and just wanted to pretend being a girl to hang out with other girls. From all that she has seen of Alan, he seemed very reserved and unhappy. She never understood why, but now as a girl, he seemed more natural and in his element. She was perfectly willing to help him and protect him. She walked him home and then went back to her place to think things over. Alan spent that evening working on his makeup. He applied it, removed it, and reapplied his makeup with different shades and colors, experimenting with different looks. Alan spent the next day working at it. Then that Friday, he made his face all up and called Kimberly. She was only too happy to come over to help him. She showed up with a pair of eyebrow tweezers and some different shades of nail polish. Can you please do my eyebrows? He asked Kimberly. She smiled. Sure, sit there and let me see. Tell me what you want? Kimberly asked. I want them to be very thin, arched and gorgeous. Like this woman's. He showed her in a fashion magazine. That woman's eyebrows were very thin, had a sexy arch and no way to really hide it. Are you sure, Alan? Think about this, Kimberly replied. Yes, please. He nodded eagerly. She nodded and got out the tweezers and started. She began plucking the eyebrow hairs out one by one. He sat still looking ahead as she worked at a feverish pace. She started at his eyebrows with great intensity as she worked on them. One by one, his eyebrow was thinned, shaped, and started becoming arched. Then it was perfect and she did it to the other eyebrow. Almost an hour later, both eyebrows had a very sexy feminine look. He smiled. Thanks, Kimberly, I love it. He hugged her. Now, do you want me to do your nails? Kimberly asked. Yes, but wait, I want my friend here to help. I want her to see this and then maybe we can have my hair curled. He called his friend Peggy. She picked up. Hi, Alan, I was wondering about you since that last weird encounter when you said you wanted to be a girl. I hope you got over it. He laughed. Peggy, can you please come over and help me? Oh, someone else is here to help me. I want you to see. She groaned in dread. Okay, I hope you haven't gone too over the line. She had a feeling that he did.